Hello there. Thanks for coming by PosterCentral.com's video blog today. I'm Pete Howard, and seldom have I held up a concert poster that so represented the end of an era in such clear-cut fashion. And oh, what an era it was, right? The final acid test held by Ken Kesey and the Merry Pranksters 25 days after LSD became illegal in California. So what all started in the fall of 1965 ended in the fall of 1966 on Halloween night, October 31st. And unfortunately, it ended with a whimper, not a bang. But you know something? As long as Ken Kesey and the Merry Pranksters were there, or Ken himself certainly, it was a 100% official and legitimate acid test. So take a look at this poster. It's just a really attention-grabbing day-glow red, probably playing havoc a little bit on my video monitor. And of course, video cameras weren't invented yet, I don't think. There's nothing that the poster designers and Ken himself would have loved more than to know that the the inks on his posters would wreak havoc or drive crazy a little bit future recording systems and stuff. So as you can see, you've got this like superhero type figure with a graduation cap on, and then it says in big letters, you can make it out there. I can see it in the monitor pretty well. Acid test graduation, with an exclamation point. I mean, that could be a footprint, but I think it's an exclamation point. And then October 31st. And that doesn't use the word Halloween, but of course that was the night. And then you've got the details below there and all that nice flowing psychedelic lettering, which looks really cool. However, two major significant details mentioned there had been torpedoed for the actual acid test graduation. First of all, it says Winterland at Post and Steiner, and then it says, I don't know if I can get this in tiny, tiny type. If I can zoom in there, I'm going to have to put my finger on it to make sure you see it. Tiny, tiny type, it says $2.50 at the door. How are we doing there? Are we getting that legible? Okay. Well, Bill Graham, being a Winterland gig, as it says here on the poster, Bill Graham was involved, and the story's, legendary, when he heard that the Merry Pranksters were planning a large-scale mass dosing of all the Winterland, attendees and probably employees too. Graham simply called it off, just way too much liability there and stuff like that. So that left Ken Kesey and company high and dry, looking for a new location on extremely short notice. And it also left the acid test graduation without their faithful house band. The Grateful Dead got spooked, which I guess is appropriate for a Halloween event, and they jumped to the Dance of Death costume ball at California Hall on Halloween night, again of '66. But what's weird is the Dead had been double booked somehow, because the Grateful Dead's name appears on both posters. They both say October 31, and this one, and the Dance of Death poster, so I don't know how that happened, but that's kind of a head-scratcher for sure. So what should have been the acid test's crowning moment of glory, the big graduation, ended up in a warehouse in San Francisco's Skid Row district. In Tom Wolfe's words, no plumbing, can you believe it? Not even running cold water at the location of this thing. Literally, attendees had to go down the street to the Shell station to use the bathroom. That's just crazy. And also it was very, I don't want to disparage any band, but come on, when the Grateful Dead drops out, almost anybody pales by comparison. And unfortunately, all Kesey could get on such short notice, or actually I should say they were already booked, was the Anonymous Artists of America, a band, and they're signified down here where my finger is by the AAA. But nonetheless, even without Winterland and without the Dead, it was a very significant pop culture event, and covered extensively by Tom Wolfe in his famous book, The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test, which is pretty much the Bible for all these goings-on with Kesey and the Pranksters and the acid tests and stuff. And of course, they had no time to make a new poster, and it wouldn't have been very sexy if they had, right? I mean, you wouldn't have the Dead on there. How would you identify the location, Look for the warehouse near the Shell station with no running water. Another poster wouldn't have done it at all. But maybe all of this was a fitting end to such merriment and such pranksterism and craziness and LSD and everything. In fact, Ken Kesey himself is quoted in Bill Graham's book as saying, quote, "In its own way, this was all appropriate because it was the denouement of something." So, end of quote. That's what Kesey said. I like that. So the poster, despite the location change and the dropping of the dead, is still fun and collectible with wonderful names on there that did appear down there. You know, you've got the Merry Pranksters and Ken Kesey, named nicely, and Neil Cassidy. Unfortunately, Cassidy having only 15 months to live. It also has down bottom center there, you can see it's got "Have you passed?" over and over again, as in, of course, their slogan. They started out with, "Can you pass the acid test?" And then it also says on there, "Many guest stars." Well, I think reading Tom Wolfe's account, it sort of indicates that most of the guest stars were behind the camera, not in front, because 3 television stations showed up and 4 radio stations sent reporters. Vogue magazine had a reporter there, I think Women's Wear Daily too. And there was, of course, Tom Wolfe himself covering it, and the Hells Angels. But, you know, probably it almost sounds like the media outnumbered the attendees. I mean, it was a tough place to find. It was a last-second change. And I think guesstimates from reading various accounts of it, probably less than 100 pure attendees actually showed up. And by 3 or 4 in the morning, there were probably only about 50 or so. But you know something? What can you say? As I said, it's the it's the end of an incredible era in not just San Francisco psychedelic Bay Area rock, but in just a major pop culture segment. And I think it's I think it's a great poster. This, along with it's an acid test poster, and for those who collect, gotta have it, even though the venue changed. So. Hope you enjoyed seeing this Dayglow monster, this bright red thing, and hope it came out okay on the tape. And thanks for dropping by, and we'll see you next time for something soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye.